Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, the Communist Party of China's development philosophy is garnering international attention. The U.S. and Iran have wrapped up another round of indirect peace talks without announcing any kind of a breakthrough. And Venezuela's announced a one-week mourning period for the earthquake disaster in the country. In business, China and the EU agree on ministerial-level meetings for trade consultations. In sports, high drama continues at the World Cup with more teams earning spots in the last 16. In culture and entertainment, China's dance dramas are now reaching global audiences. Now the day's top stories. As the Communist Party of China's marked its 105th founding anniversary, the international community is paying attention to its long-standing vitality. Alfred Buramasso is the first counselor of the Burundi embassy to China. He says the essence is that the party serves the people and puts them first.
I used to go to the great hall of the people here during the CPCCC, the two sessions, where people come and gather around this party, and all sections of the population give their views and what they want for the country, and the party listening to all the section of the people and taking into account and actually drawing from what the people want and actually go and do that. That's what all other governing parties should be doing, because sometimes what brings problem is that the governors feel that they are the ones who are served, rather than doing the opposite, serving the people. So I've seen the party doing the service to the people. That is why you can see the country steadily moving, making the 5-year plans. And after every 5 years, having a look at what has been achieved, what remains to be done, and then taking the next 5 years, we could start doing this and this.
Well, President Luciana Santos of the Communist Party of Brazil says China's development philosophy and practices are not only crucial for the country itself, but also provide important experience for the world.
What is certain is that the Communist Party of China has forged a development path that all humanity aspires to. It embodies equal opportunity, shared prosperity, social inclusion, fairness, and justice. The living quality of the Chinese people has seen tangible improvements. The CPC sets an example for the world to follow. I am full of admiration for the development journey of the party.
Mapaseka Steve Letsicki is a South African deputy minister in the presidency of women, and she says the CPC success inspires them a lot.
It becomes an inspiration for us as South Africa. We look into China to tap on their innovation, how they do it, what kind of models are they applying, what kind of evidence-based, because no development happens without research and evidence. Because to innovate, you have to consistently try and test models of innovation for it to be tried and said, this is a best practice model. And it inspires us.
Omar Namir is the head of the People's League organization in Sudan. He says the concepts and initiatives proposed by the Chinese leader have been widely recognized across Africa.
I fully endorse the concepts and initiatives put forward by Xi Jinping. In my view, he is one of the most influential leaders in the world today. His concepts reflect a profound concern for human development, thoughtful reflections on the progress of civilization, and explorations of development paths and governance models. Therefore, the concepts and initiatives he proposed have gained wide recognition in Africa, the Arab world, and other regions. China's influence and appeal in the international community have been continuously growing, and it is providing important experience for the world through its own development practices.
The CPC was founded on July 1st, 1921. A veteran Egyptian diplomat says the Communist Party of China has played an instrumental role in maintaining national unity while driving rapid economic and technological progress. Ali El-Hefni is former Egyptian Deputy Foreign Minister and current head of the Egypt-China Friendship Association. He praised China's advancements in high-tech and artificial intelligence.
The main thing that I would wish to stress on is that the CPC played an instrumental role in keeping the unity of Chinese. And when you say this, you think immediately about development and the role that the CPC has played as far as maintaining the economic growth, trying always to increase that rate. But also it has made a very impressive advancement as far as technology is concerned, as far as the high-tech, the artificial intelligence.
El-Hefni also commended China's governance model, calling it open, just, and equal among nations. He said Egypt and other African nations have learned valuable lessons from China's experience, especially in poverty eradication.
We have learned in Egypt a lot out of the lessons that we drew from the Chinese experience, the Chinese model. For instance, the eradication of poverty. It has been really of a need for our countries in Africa, and China has helped in achieving tangible results.
El-Hefni also expressed great optimism for future cooperation between the two countries. The CPC credits much of its staying power to one relentless effort, which is rooting out corruption from within. The leadership calls it self-reform. Feng Yilei visited a dedicated party spirit education base in Beijing to see how the campaign works, from ideological education to institutional checks.
At the Party Spirit Education Base for Comprehensive and Strict Party Self-Governance, housed within the Party School of the CPC Beijing Municipal Committee, abstract requirements of the spirit of the Communist Party of China are brought to life. Through immersive exhibits, it traces stories of exemplary cadres and cautionary cases of corruption. Over the past decade, the facility has trained tens of thousands of party members.
Cadres study the history and discipline of the party and confront the cost of corruption up close. Sessions like these are now a major part of how the Communist Party of China trains its members. The message is clear. China's anti-corruption efforts are not a temporary storm, but a lasting institutional endeavor.
From its earliest days, the party demanded strict political and organizational discipline. Since its 18th National Congress in 2012, the CPC has pursued an unprecedented anti-corruption drive under the framework of integrating dare not, cannot, and do not want to corrupt.
Today, we advance the 3 anti-corruption steps in an integrated way. We will deepen the fight against corruption, refine institutions, strengthen party spirit and discipline, and foster good conduct to rectify work styles, uphold discipline, and root out graft. Guided by General Secretary Xi Jinping's theories, we will unify our thinking, upgrade our capacity for modernization, adjust our mindset, and enhance competence to fully realize the second centenary goal.
China has built a comprehensive framework to curb corruption. The 8-point conduct rules led the way by stressing the need to eliminate formalism, bureaucratism, hedonism, and extravagance. The National Supervision System reform has pooled cross-departmental anti-graft resources, creating a unified, authoritative oversight network. Official data shows that in 2025, China's disciplinary bodies opened more than 1 million cases and disciplined nearly 990,000 people, from the most powerful officials down to the petty offenders people meet in daily life, targeting everything from lavish spending to those who simply weren't doing their jobs, returning billions to the public and bringing fugitives home from overseas. China says its anti-corruption drive has secured an overwhelmingly fully consolidated victory.
External oversight paired with internal self-discipline jointly solved the core challenge of preserving the CPC's advanced nature and consolidating its long-term governing status. Polls run by Harvard Kennedy School for over a decade show Chinese people's satisfaction with the government consistently stays above 90%. This high degree of public trust fully demonstrates the remarkable outcomes of the CPC's self-revolution.
And anti-graft coordination now crosses borders. International observers highlight its stark differences.
Well, there are 3 things that I would observe that make China's campaign different. One of them is that it is systematic. Another of the key differences is that it's addressed to tigers and flies. You're going after the people who cause most annoyance to ordinary people. And the third major distinction is that it's a genuine. I mean, if you look at the way that some of the most serious offenders are dealt with, they are occasionally subject to capital punishment.
But the fight against corruption remains grave and complex. As China has embarked on its 15th five-year plan, the anti-corruption push serves bigger goals. The fight against graft is a battle China simply cannot afford to lose. And the core stance, no pause, no backward step.
That was Feng Yilei reporting. A young CPC official from a once roadless village in southwest China has devoted himself to transforming his hometown. Huang Yilei reports from Sichuan province.
Deep in the mountains of Liangshan-Yi Autonomous Prefecture in southwest China's Sichuan province lies Abuluoha village. Its name, in the Yi language, means a place few people ever reach. It's also known as the last village in China to gain road access. This is 31-year-old Jilie Zirü, now the party secretary of the village. Born and raised here, he was the first from the village to attend college.
When I was a child, I had to walk about 5 hours to get to school. There was no road. I had to climb over mountains. During the rainy season, my brother and I carried machetes to clear the overgrown mountain path. The most dangerous part was crossing the river on a hand-pulled cable. Once, a steel wire pierced straight through my hand. I couldn't let go, because if I did, I would have fallen into the river below.
Having experienced those hardships himself, the young man knows exactly what held his village back. After graduating from college in 2017, he turned down job opportunities in the city and returned home, determined to change the place. For him, that change had to begin with one thing, a road.
A road was something 3 generations of our villagers had dreamed of. Without one, development was almost impossible. After I came back, I kept working with different government departments, hoping we could make that dream come true.
And the dream began to take shape in 2019. Building a road along cliffs was an enormous engineering challenge. At one point, a heavy lift helicopter was deployed to airlift construction equipment into the village. On June 30th, 2020, the road officially opened. Villagers also moved into new homes, and daily life became far more convenient. But for Jilie Zirü, the road is never the finish line.
Agricultural experts told me that our climate and altitude were perfect for growing navel oranges. The government helped provide seedlings, and I also worked with companies to introduce drip irrigation. Today, we have about 23 hectares of orchards, and last year they generated around $16,000 in sales.
With transportation no longer a barrier, Jilie has focused on creating new opportunities for villagers. The people who watched him grow up now see him as someone they can truly count on.
I even know what color her family's cows are, but I couldn't tell you how many chickens she has. Because life is much better now, they can eat chicken whenever they want.
Jilie Zirü's commitment has also inspired another young villager to return home. 25-year-old Ada Niu-se now serves as the village accountant. He also works as a guide at the village exhibition hall, where old photographs remind him just how much life has changed.
This photo shows my home, and this is me as a child. It was summer. We sat there to keep cool while our livestock stayed underneath. And that child was about my age. We just ate our meals like that. We never imagined we'd one day have proper tables and chairs.
For Jilie Zirü, helping improve people's lives is more than a job. He says that's what being a grassroots party member truly means.
As grassroots party members, we are the closest link between the party and the people. Our responsibility is to put what we've learned to good use, help government policies take root, and bring real change to places that need it most.
Standing where the village's old houses once stood, Jile looks out at the same mountains and cliffs that shaped his childhood. The landscape hasn't changed much, but life here has, unprecedentedly. And for this young party secretary who chose to come home, that's the future he's determined to build.
That was Huang Yue reporting. Coming up, the U.S. and Iran have wrapped up their latest indirect peace talks without announcing a deal.
Retirement. Is it really the end of the road? China doesn't seem to think so. The country has unveiled its first nationwide rules to protect overage workers, including eligible foreign employees. Why now? Will the new protections encourage people to work longer or make employers think twice? And how does China's approach compare with other aging societies? Join us at this week's Chat Lounge as we explore what these landmark rules could mean for the future of work in China and beyond. Listen wherever you get your podcasts and on CGTN Radio.
16 past the hour. Iran and the U.S. have wrapped up another round of indirect talks in Doha with no signs of progress toward a lasting peace. U.S. President Donald Trump says the talks were very good. Sources familiar with the negotiations say delegates spent 2 days focusing on ensuring maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz would go and unfreezing Iranian funds held abroad. Tehran says any funds released from Qatar will be used to purchase what it calls required goods. Differences remain over Iran's nuclear program. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf says Iran's role in managing the Strait of Hormuz is important, calling for $12 billion in frozen assets to be made available to his country's central bank.
The sovereignty of the Strait of Hormuz belongs to Iran and Oman, and with the arrangements that Iran has determined, although we also will consult other Gulf countries. If they have opinions about the arrangements, we will converse. Therefore, the sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz and its management is with Iran. We have 24 billion assets in different places, and we have said once this agreement is signed, 12 billion of it needs to be accessible to our central bank. In whatever currency, from whoever, with whatever exchange price, and however they want to do it.
The lead negotiator of the Iranian delegation adds that international inspectors will not be allowed access to nuclear sites damaged during the war. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz says his country's troops will remain indefinitely in Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza, despite a framework agreement with Lebanon. Katz says this is necessary to protect Israeli residents and communities from jihadist elements. Lebanese state media says the Israeli army's installed crossing gates along the border and has continued striking and shelling southern Lebanon. The U.S. military has reportedly said it'll play a direct role in ensuring compliance by Lebanon and Israel. The Israel-Lebanon framework agreement signed last week in Washington includes an initial Israeli withdrawal from 2 areas in southern Lebanon and outlines steps toward a lasting ceasefire. The fishing industry in Gaza is facing near total collapse nearly 3 years after the current conflict broke out. Local fishermen are struggling to survive. Nadra Al-Tibi has more from the Strip.
Gaza's harbor no longer looks the way it once did. Destroyed fishing boats lie abandoned, while hundreds of tents now lie the port, providing shelter for displaced families. With most of Gaza's fishing posts destroyed, fishermen now depend on small vessels and hand-repaired nets. Their short trips to sea often result in only limited catches.
Now we are hardly allowed anything. We can sail only about 500 meters into the sea. Before the war, we could go much farther and earn a living. Today, we head out without knowing if we'll return, but we have no choice. We have to survive, even if the catch is very small.
Gaza's fishing industry is on the brink of collapse. According to the Palestinian Fishermen's Union, 232 fishermen have been killed since the war began, while 28 others have reportedly been detained since the ceasefire came into effect.
The fishermen recovered their nets from warehouses that were bombed and repaired them by hand to suit fishing in the small area they are still able to access. They risk their lives every time they go to sea, fishing within less than 1 kilometer despite being pursued.
The harbor is no longer just a fishing port. Today, hundreds of tents shelter displaced families among damaged boats and empty docks.
What was once a harbor where fishermen returned with their daily catch has been transformed into a refuge for families displaced by war, illustrating how conflict has reshaped both livelihoods and everyday life.
UN figures show that around 1.7 million Palestinians are now living in overcrowded displacement camps, while Israel continues to maintain control over about 60% of Gaza's territory.
We suffer in every way. Water is scarce, food is scarce, and we live in real poverty. Even getting water is difficult. My elderly husband carries heavy containers every day and comes back with severe back pain.
Caught between unsafe waters and harbor transformed into a crowded displacement camp, where disease and hardship continue to spread. Gazans are enduring an increasingly difficult fight for survival.
That was Nadra Al-Tibi in Gaza. Coming up, Venezuela announces a week-long mourning period for the earthquake disaster.
You've been listening to programs from CGTN Radio.
CGTN Radio.
We invite you to visit us online for more audio, pictures, and in-depth reports. At radio.cgtn.com, you can access a wide range of programs and find your favorite news, talk, features, entertainment shows, and podcasts. Hear the difference with CGTN Radio.
It's 22 past the hour. Venezuelan acting President Delcy Rodriguez has declared 7 days of national mourning for the victims of the twin earthquakes that devastated the country last week. The quakes had killed over 2,200 people as of late Wednesday. The Chinese embassy has confirmed the death of another Chinese national, bringing the total number of citizens killed to 9. Authorities say 25 temporary camps are in place to shelter the affected. And Stephen Gibbs reports from Caracas.
Well, rescue operations are still underway in that hardest hit coastal area. The death toll is rising, but there are also some amazing stories of survival. Amongst them, a 3-year-old was pulled alive from the rubble 6 days after the quakes. Another man, the security guard for a shopping mall, has been signalling to rescuers who are providing him with hydration. These signs of hope are lifting the nation in a small way after this disaster. But with that death toll going up and the UN saying 10,000 body bags are being procured, there is some anger too, and growing criticism of the government's response. Many residents and officials say the authorities were slow to coordinate aid, lacked sufficient heavy equipment, and struggled with logistics in those critical first days. Reports have emerged of 4 policemen who were seen with bags of cash they apparently stole from the rubble. They've since been arrested. The focus is now beginning to shift from rescue to recovery. Thousands remain displaced, with urgent needs for shelter, clean water, medicine and sanitation to prevent disease outbreaks. And rebuilding is expected to take years, with already a 10% hit to the country's GDP, and a nation that was already struggling before this.
That was Stephen Gibbs reporting. Extreme temperatures have continued to scorch parts of Europe and North America. In Portugal, authorities have issued the nation's highest weather alert and are stepping up efforts to cope with an extreme heat wave. 12 of the 18 districts on the country's mainland, including Lisbon, will be under a red weather warning from Thursday through Saturday. The Interior Minister has warned that temperatures could reach as high as 47 degrees Celsius in the coming days. In Spain, official data estimates that over 1,000 deaths were linked to high temperatures in June. A 5-day heat wave with temperatures over 40 degrees made it the second hottest month of June on record. In North America, record-breaking temperatures have spread to the eastern U.S. from the Midwest. Tens of millions of people have been placed under heat warnings, which are set to last through the July 4th holiday weekend. In Canada, sweltering heat and volatile atmospheric conditions have heightened the risk of severe thunderstorms. For more, Jiaoying spoke to Bob Ward, the Policy and Communications Director at the Grantham Research Institute on Climate Change and the Environment.
Can you tell us more about what Europe is going through this early summer and just how unusual is this heat wave?
Well, we've had 2 periods of exceptional heat, one at the end of May and one just now. The May heat wave created record temperatures in the UK for May. And then in June, we've had record temperatures across most of Europe. A big high pressure area settled over Europe and drew up hot air from the south. And it was a very stable, high pressure area that didn't move very far, and the heat essentially was sucked in and created very hot conditions with temperatures well over 40 degrees in places like France, closer to 45 degrees in Spain, and well over 35 degrees in the UK. So it's been a period of very high temperatures across Europe.
Data shows that Europe is the world's fastest warming continent. It is heating at more than twice the global average. What exactly is driving this trend, and why is Europe warming so much faster than the rest of the world?
Global warming is an effect caused by mainly by carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which envelops the Earth. And what we find is because the sun tends to be focused around oscillates around the relative axis of the Earth, what that means is that we're seeing a pattern of warming that means that the higher the latitudes towards the poles, for instance, you get a greater warming in effect than in the tropics around the equator. And that's just a pattern that's a result of this. The fact that Europe is mostly in the northern hemisphere at high latitudes means that it is experiencing warming greater than that. In addition, Western Europe benefits from something called the thermohaline circulation, which is warm waters being brought up in the North Atlantic from the Caribbean, which means that the Western European coasts are much warmer than one would expect at those high latitudes. So all these things are adding together to make Europe warm more than the other continents. But we should be clear, every continent is experiencing warming at the moment.
Many European buildings, especially in Northern Europe, were designed to retain heat rather than release it. How big of a challenge is it to retrofit an entire continent's housing stock for a hotter climate, especially when air conditioning remains uncommon?
Europe still thinks of itself as a relatively cool continent on the whole, although, of course, the Mediterranean countries are used to dealing with heat. But much of Northern Europe, which is now experiencing these hot conditions that normally only Southern Europe has, means that the buildings are just simply not built to cope. They tend to be, certainly in Scandinavian countries, built to retain heat, mainly to keep warm in the summer, but they're not really designed to, for instance, create passive ventilation with air passing through buildings so that they can cool naturally. And because we haven't had the tradition of heat, most buildings don't have air conditioning in them, and that's making it very difficult. Many buildings tend to overheat now in Northern Europe during the summer, and that's both dangerous to people who are vulnerable, and it can actually kill people, but it's also bad for productivity because when people are trying to work in overheating offices, they're just not as productive.
Well, that was Bob Ward with the Grantham Research Institute on Climate Change and the Environment. At 29 past the hour, Beijing cloudy tonight and tomorrow. The low's 21, or rather 24, and it's up to 36 on Friday. Shanghai will see a light rainfall tonight, a moderate rainfall developing tomorrow, a low of 24 and a high of 30. Chongqing has a light rain in the forecast tonight and tomorrow, a low of 25 and a high of 28. Nanchang will see rainfall overnight, becoming cloudy tomorrow, a low of 26 and a high of 33. Laos is getting clear skies this evening, clouds developing tomorrow, low of 12 and a high of 27. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad will see moderate rainfall tonight. It's becoming sunny tomorrow, low of 25 and up to 36 degrees on Friday. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, the Communist Party of China's development philosophy is garnering international attention. The U.S. and Iran have wrapped up another round of indirect peace talks without announcing any kind of a breakthrough. And Venezuela's announced a one-week mourning period for the earthquake disaster in the country. Shane Bigham with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
From the refreshing cup of tea that starts your morning to the paper that you write on, the roots of many familiar parts of modern life can be traced back to ancient ideas. Join us on Made in Ancient China and discover how ideas born millennia ago became some of the world's greatest treasures. Made in Ancient China brings you stories of human ambition, inspiration, and connection. Now available on all major podcast platforms. Shh, listen up. Can you hear the heartbeat of our world? It's vibrant and pulsating with the essence of life itself. From the stem of trees to the gurgle of rivers. From the silent strength of mountains to the icy whispers of glaciers. Even the solid ground beneath our feet. Right there, in the midst of all, beats the heart of humanity. What if those other heartbeats were to stop? Would ours keep on ticking?
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Thursday. Still to come. In business, China and the EU agree on ministerial-level meetings for trade consultations. In sports, high drama continues at the World Cup, with more teams earning spots in the last 16. In culture and entertainment, China's dance dramas are now reaching global audiences. To contact us, you can email radio@cgtn.com or follow our X account @CGTNradio. You're also welcome to subscribe to our Substack newsletter Beyond Beijing for the world's biggest stories, along with sharp insights and exclusive analysis. But now checking the day's headlines. Beijing says Vice Chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, He will attend the funeral of Iran's late Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in Tehran on Friday. Khamenei died in the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran in February, which sparked a months-long war. He led the Islamic Republic for more than 30 years. China says the real agenda of the so-called free and open Indo-Pacific vision mentioned by the Japanese Prime Minister is about division and confrontation instead of openness and freedom. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun says such a vision runs counter to the common aspirations of regional countries for peace, development, and cooperation.
What the Asia-Pacific region needs is stability, not turbulence. Cooperation, not division. Upholding the post-war international order and the principles of the UN Charter is the foundation for prosperity and stability in the Asia-Pacific and the shared responsibility of regional countries. In the face of certain petty actions that create division and provoke confrontation, countries in the region need to be clear-eyed and more united than ever, uphold the right direction of Asia-Pacific cooperation, enhance mutual trust through dialogue and consultation, safeguard peace through mutually beneficial cooperation, and jointly build a prosperous, stable, open, inclusive, and harmonious Asia-Pacific region where all stand together in solidarity and mutual assistance.
Guo adds that such a vision is bound to fail to earn real recognition. Beijing's criticized the leader of the Taiwan region for inciting confrontation and opposition between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait. Came after Lai Ching-te said the Ethnic Unity and Progress Promotion Law by the mainland poses a risk to the island. The law, aiming to promote unity and high-quality development among all ethnic groups across China, took effect on Wednesday. State Council Taiwan Affairs Office spokesperson Zhu Fenglian says the law will bring the two sides of the Taiwan Strait closer.
Implementing the law will be conducive to further promoting economic and cultural exchanges and cooperation between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait, deepening the integrated development in various fields, and facilitating the common inheritance and promotion of Chinese culture, as well as enhancing their sense of belonging, identity, and honor to the Chinese nation. The Democratic Progressive Party authorities stubbornly adhere to the separatist stance of Taiwan independence. Out of political self-interest, they have repeatedly criticized and slandered this law, fabricated lies, and deliberately confused the public, with the aim of inciting confrontation and opposition across the strait and intimidating the people of Taiwan. Their intentions are malicious and will not succeed.
Zhu also urged the Democratic Progressive Party authorities to lift restrictions on travel by mainland residents to Taiwan as soon as possible. The DPP authorities' decision to reject applications from tourism operators in Shanghai and Fujian to conduct preparatory visits to the island has drawn criticism from tourism operators and industry groups in Taiwan. International rescue teams continue searching collapsed buildings in Venezuela's hardest-hit state of La Guaira, but hopes of finding more survivors are fading as the operation shifts toward recovery. National Assembly President Jorge Rodriguez insisted that hope remains intact, saying over 4,000 international rescuers have saved more than 6,400 people. He vowed they'll keep searching for anyone alive under the rubble. The June 24th earthquakes have killed at least 2,295 people and injured over 11,000. Thousands of displaced Venezuelans are now sleeping in crowded shelters or outdoors without clean water, facing grim sanitary conditions. Meanwhile, many thousands remain missing, leaving families in agonizing uncertainty as they wait by collapsed buildings. A non-governmental database shows over 40,000 people are still unaccounted for as of Wednesday. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in business, China and the EU agree on ministerial-level meetings for trade consultations.
The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
36 past the hour, and with business now, here's Wang Zihang.
Thank you, Shane. Stock markets on the Chinese mainland closed lower on Thursday. The Shanghai Composite was down over 2%. The Shenzhen component lost nearly 4%. Precious metal and forestry shares led the gainers. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index rose over 0.7%. Japan's Nikkei declined almost 2.5%. The Chinese Commerce Ministry says China and the European Union have agreed to hold one to two minister-level meetings of their trade and investment consultation framework every year. China has invited the European Union Trade Commissioner to visit China this autumn for the second meeting of the consultation framework. Both sides have agreed to expand cooperation in fields such as AI and green transition. They will deeply tap into the potential for cooperation in areas such as services trade. The two sides have reached a consensus on a new positioning for China-EU economic and trade relations. The ministry added that this will help boost business confidence on both sides and bring more certainty and positive momentum to the economies of China, Europe, and the world. The 2026 Global Digital Economy Conference is underway in Beijing under the theme Building Digital-Friendly Cities. Nearly 40 high-level delegations and over 1,000 industry professionals from around the world will have exchanges on key issues in areas such as artificial intelligence and digital governance. More than 50 high-level forums will take place, covering areas including international digital trade and digital talent cultivation. Organizers will unveil a range of new domestic and international technologies and products, including world models, humanoid robots, and full-stack self-developed simulation technologies to promote global application of advanced technologies. Ho Jing has more.
This year's conference is a rallying call for Beijing's ambition to become a global benchmark city for the digital economy and a leading AI hub. There are several firsts worth noting. Number one, the conference demonstrates a major step up in international cooperation. The UN Development Programme's Digital Friendly and Digital Economy Sustainable Development Innovation Lab will officially launch in Beijing. That marks a significant UN presence in China's digital space. And the Global Digital Economy Cities Alliance Geneva office will also be inaugurated. Second, it promotes deeper digitally friendly practices, and the main forum here focuses on digital-friendly cities in the age of AI. During the conference, the Digital Economy Industry Expo will welcome guests to experience the latest digital and AI products firsthand. It also brings together city leaders from Asia, Europe, the America, and the Belt and Road partner countries to explore how digital technologies enable inclusive urban governance. Last but not least, the conference is where innovation meets the market. The conference serves as a platform to accelerate technology commercialization. For example, in industrial digitalization, I came across a smart welding project that uses visual AI and robotic arms to handle non-standard welding scenarios, making dangerous work safer and outcome better. So outside the conference, China's first digital neighborhood will officially launch in Beijing. I'm expecting more people to be able to experience the convenience and joy brought by digital and smart technology. So from global governance to urban life, from innovation to implementation, the Global Digital Economy Conference 2026 is not just a platform for dialogue, but also a starting point for action.
That was Ho Jing reporting. China's C909 medical aircraft is taking part in the 21st China Commodities Fair in Kazakhstan. Its static display at Almaty International Airport marks the first appearance of the medical aircraft in Central Asia. The C909's cabin can be configured according to different needs, capable of meeting various scenarios such as medical rescue team transport, medical aid in remote areas, and patient evacuation. Hosted by the Chinese Commerce Ministry, this year's fair covers several categories, including consumer goods, modern agriculture, the food supply chain, and industrial manufacturing and equipment. The China Commodities Fair in Kazakhstan has been held annually since 2003. Over the years, the exhibition has expanded in scale and enriched in content. It has become an important platform for trade and investment cooperation. China is now increasing trade ties with the UK. British Trade Minister Peter Kyle has hosted Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao in London. The two ministers launched a new initiative to help more British businesses break into the Chinese market. Jeff Moody reports in London.
The China International Import Expo comes to London every year, but this time around there's an even greater sense of celebration.
Since the establishment of diplomatic relations over 50 years ago, our bilateral economic and trade ties have developed steadily and healthily, grounded in pragmatic cooperation and mutual benefit. In 2025, bilateral trade in goods has surpassed $100 billion, and trade in services has exceeded $30 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, both China and the UK uphold multilateralism and free trade.
China's Minister of Commerce, Wang Wentao, is in town to chair the 15th UK-China Joint Economic and Trade Commission, or JETCO, with the aim of strengthening ties between the two nations and increasing growth, something his British counterpart wholeheartedly supports.
We want to keep momentum going, strengthening our work together in the areas that will benefit us both, and opening up new ways for our businesses to work together, to grow together, and to learn from each other. Serious engagement is back. By working together and talking together, both of our nations will prosper.
And that enthusiasm from the two governments, from the two delegations, is really trickling down to the business leaders themselves. They're making deals, they're making contacts.
There's no doubt that the Prime Minister's visit to China is creating another level of momentum. And I think that there is a feeling that there is opportunity and positivity on both sides to actually trade, to do things and get things happening.
The gathering today is full of energy. Business people from China and the UK are all very excited. We're all very interested and also hopeful of this booming market, which can be worth hundreds of billions of dollars.
But it's not just the money that's being discussed here today. There's a renewed sense of collaboration, of friendship, and a sense of optimism that the future for trade between the two nations has never looked brighter.
That was Jeff Moody on China-UK trade ties. US Federal Reserve Chair Kevin Walsh says prices are too high in the United States. reiterating the Fed's commitment to restoring price stability. Speaking at the European Central Bank Forum on central banking in Portugal, Walsh didn't say whether the Fed would raise interest rates at its July policy meeting. Walsh said the Federal Reserve is establishing a number of task forces to review issues including monetary policy communications, economic data and inflation frameworks. He also said reforms should be pursued if the current policy framework hinders effective policy making. India is grappling with the economic fallout of the Iran conflict as disruptions to global oil supplies push fuel prices higher and poor rainfall adds pressure on household expenses. Residents in Mumbai say daily grocery bills have climbed noticeably in recent weeks. Dry weather and crop losses have disrupted supplies of fruits and vegetables, while higher fuel prices have increased transportation and distribution costs, adding pressure across the supply chain. Rajani Sinha is a chief economist with Care Edge Ratings, one of India's leading credit ratings agencies.
Specifically, vegetable price inflation and all, we have seen it to be very volatile. But again, if you go with our historical experience with poor monsoon, it's not that all years of weak monsoon have been associated with high inflation. Government does intervene through various measures, through reducing import duty on some components or with export restrictions.
Since the war began, compressed natural gas prices in India have risen between 7 and 10%. Diesel prices closely linked to commercial transport have increased by 9%. The country's retail inflation climbed to a 16-month high in May, driven largely by rising food and fuel prices.
All right, thank you very much. That's Wang Ziheng with Business. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. And coming up in sports, high drama continues at the World Cup with more teams earning spots in the last 16.
Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
46 past now and turning to sports. Here's Yang Guang.
Thank you, Shane. England survived a major scare in the round of 32 at the World Cup, coming from behind to beat the Democratic Republic of the Congo 2-1 and book their place in the round of 16. The Three Lions were stunned early when DR Congo struck first and then held firm through a dominant first-half performance, with their goalkeeper producing a string of outstanding saves to frustrate England's attack. England's pressure finally broke through with Harry Kane heading in the equaliser before firing home a late winner to complete a dramatic turnaround. After the match, Kane praised his side's resilience and belief.
I thought we played some really good stuff kind of after 25 minutes of the game. Their keeper made some incredible saves, to be fair to him, and you start to think maybe is it just one of those days, but that's where I'm most proud of the boys and myself as well, just to keep the belief, keep getting the ball into the right areas, and one of us will have our hero moment, and thankfully for me it was today.
England now advances to face Mexico next, with a place in the quarterfinals on the line. Now joins us in the studio is Tian Yu for the game analysis. Harry Kane scored twice again to rescue England. Was that simply another great Kane performance, or England relying on him a little too much?
Well, I would say it's probably a bit of both. I mean, Harry Kane was absolutely outstanding. Great movement for the header and then an incredible finish for the winner. And that's why he's one of the world's best strikers. He delivers when England need him the most. But I also think England should be slightly concerned. I mean, they dominate possession and created chances, yet they still needed Kane to bail them out after going behind. So against stronger teams later in the tournament, you can't always expect your captain to save the day. But the encouraging part is that England showed resilience. This was their first World Cup knockout win after conceding first in 1966. So mentally, that's a huge step forward. But if they want to keep winning the World Cup, they'll need more players to share the attacking burden, not just Harry Kane.
Right. Meanwhile, in other World Cup action, Belgium produced a dramatic late turnaround to beat Senegal 3-2 in Seattle and book their place in the next round. Senegal looked in control for much of the match and led 2-0, but Belgium mounted a stunning late fight back in the closing minutes. Substitute Romelu Lukaku gave Belgium hope with a late goal before Yuri Tielemans equalised, and then held his nerve to convert a stoppage time penalty, sealing a 3-2 win. The result means Belgium advances to face the United States in their next round, while Senegal is left to reflect on the dramatic late collapse. Now, Tianyu, Belgium came back from 2-0 down to beat Senegal, but one of the biggest talking points was the heated exchange between Yuri Tielemans and Leandro Trossard before they combined for the equalizer. What did you make of that?
Well, I actually think that moment says a lot about this Belgian team. You know, we often talk about the dressing room harmony, but during a game, emotions are going to boil over. You know, Tielemans and Trossard clearly weren't happy with each other, but instead of letting it affect them, they responded in the best possible way. They combined for the goal that completely changed the match. So to me, that's a sign of maturity. You don't have to be best friends for 90 minutes, but what matters is whether you can put the team first. So Belgium looked finished at 2-0 down, but they kept believing. Lukaku gave them hope, and Tielemans ended up being the hero. So sometimes those emotional moments actually wake a team up rather than tear it apart.
Right, that was Tianyu for the World Cup game analysis. The United States has advanced to the round of 16 with a 2-0 victory over Bosnia and Herzegovina, completing a historic milestone for the whole co-hosts. The win means all three co-hosts, the United States, Canada and Mexico, have all reached the last 16 of the tournament. The Americans took control of the match through strong pressing and attacking play, breaking the deadlock just before halftime when Valerian Balogun finished from close range and after good build-up work involving Malik Tillman. Despite a second-half setback, when Balogun was sent off following a video review, the U.S. stayed in command and sealed the result late on. Tillman added a second goal from a free-kick situation to secure a 2-0 win. Portugal and Croatia are preparing for a high-stakes round of 32 clash in Toronto, with a place in the last 16 on the line. Portugal finished second in their group behind Colombia, with Cristiano Ronaldo again in the spotlight after becoming the first player to score at 6 World Cups. The veteran forward struck twice in the dominant group stage win over Uzbekistan, helping steady Portugal after an uneven start. Head coach Roberto Martinez says the knockout phase effectively resets the tournament for his side.
First of all, this game marks the start of our World Cup campaign all over again. The second World Cup in a way. Good preparation is very important, and that preparation consisted of 3 group stage matches. As we have already discussed, there are things we need to improve. We did some things well and others less well. What is important now is that all 21 outfield players have already featured at this World Cup.
On the other side, Croatia arrives after finishing second in their group, with captain Luka Modric once again central to their hopes. Head coach Zlatko Dalic says his team must be at their sharpest to overcome Portugal.
Croatia has never won against Portugal in a major competition, so we know what to expect. The quality is on both sides, but we need to reduce our errors to a minimum because they will punish us, just like England did. We need to raise the level of responsibility in the midfield, give our best, and do our maximum, as I believe that we can achieve a good result.
The winner will move on to the last 16, where the road to the title continues.
All right, thank you very much. That's Yang Guang with sports. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, and coming up in culture and entertainment, China's dance dramas are now reaching global audiences.
Pulse Plus, a selection of the best podcasts in China, covering history, customs, music, literature, and in-depth dialogues. Find your way to a wealth of Chinese culture and thinking, all on Pulse Plus.
53 past the hour. In culture and entertainment, China's performing arts scene has seen many innovations. Once considered a niche art form, dance drama has become one of the most dynamic aspects of the country's scene. By reimagining traditional culture, revisiting historical narratives, and reaching audiences overseas, a growing number of original productions are finding success domestically and internationally. Shen Li reports.
On August 20th, 2021, at Beijing's National Center for the Performing Arts, the dance drama The Journey of a Legendary Landscape Painting premiered before a packed audience. Inspired by a panorama of rivers and mountains, one of China's most celebrated paintings, the production transforms a centuries-old masterpiece into a living stage experience. The idea was born after the show's creators viewed the original scroll at the Palace Museum in 2017.
If audiences leave the theater wanting to learn more about the painting and the culture behind it, then that's where true appreciation begins. I hope our work can be a doorway, encouraging more people to explore Chinese culture.
Since its premiere in 2021, the production has toured across China and overseas, with performances in countries including Singapore, Russia, and the United States.
Performers were incredible. The music was great. It's artistic interpretation. If you don't know the story, you're kind of reading into it whatever you feel at the moment. It just was incredibly inspirational.
While the journey of a legendary landscape painting draws on China's artistic heritage, the Internal Wave revisits a story from the country's revolutionary past. Adapted from the classic 1958 film, the dance drama premiered in Shanghai in 2019. Combining cinematic storytelling with contemporary choreography, it has helped introduce a new generation of audiences to a well-known historical tale.
Many of us first heard this story from our parents, through dance. We hope younger audiences can connect with the emotions and ideals of that generation.
That was Shen Li reporting. As the summer holiday season approaches, museums across China are rolling out new exhibitions and expanding public programs to attract visitors. In central China, a Dunhuang-themed exhibition presented by the Hunan Museum and the Dunhuang Academy showcases more than 200 sets of cultural relics, including cave replicas, mural reproductions, and rare manuscripts from the library cave. In East China, the Ningbo Museum is reopened after renovation, unveiling around 250 Han Dynasty bamboo and wooden slips from Gansu Province. The documents provide rare insights into Silk Road-era administration, trade, and daily life. Looking ahead, the Chengdu Natural History Museum will open a dinosaur fossil exhibition on July 18th, featuring over 50 types of fossils and models from the Cretaceous period. At the same time, museums are expanding educational activities for young visitors. The Beijing Ancient Architecture Museum will launch a summer program on July 11th, including hands-on workshops and an AI creativity camp to handle rising visitor numbers. Many museums are extending opening hours, introducing night tours, even offering overnight programs, turning cultural venues into around-the-clock destinations during the summer peak. Red tourism is getting momentum in southwestern Chinese provinces this summer as visitors head to revolutionary heritage sites inspired by the new history film Crossing. The film, which has topped China's daily box office since release on June 26, portrays the Chinese Red Army's 4 crossings of the Chishui River during the Long March. We're at 57 past the hour. Beijing will be cloudy tonight and tomorrow. A low of 24. It's up to 36 degrees on Friday. Shanghai will see a light rainfall this evening, becoming moderate rain tomorrow, a low of 24 and a high of 30. Chongqing has a light rain in the forecast too. Tonight and tomorrow, a low of 25 and a high of 28. Nanchang will see some rainfall overnight, becoming cloudy tomorrow, a low of 26 and a high of 33. Last is getting clear skies overnight. The clouds come in tomorrow, low of 12 and a high of 27 degrees. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad will see moderate rainfall tonight, becoming sunny on Friday. The low is 25 and it's up to 36 degrees tomorrow. And that's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news today, the Communist Party of China's development philosophy is garnering international attention. And the U.S. and Iran have wrapped up another round of indirect peace talks without announcing any kind of a breakthrough. On behalf of the staff, the Shishane Begum in the Chinese capital, hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
The best military commander is not he who fights 100 battles and wins every one of them. The best military strategy does not lead to the desiccation of the enemy's capital city. Decoding the Art of War will help you understand why there's no art in war and how Sun Tzu stayed undefeatable using the science of war, with fun stories and insightful breakdown of famous battles. Find Decoding the Art of War wherever you listen.
A poem for the Tibetan antelope, the gentle spirit of the Qinghai Seazon Plateau, spoken by voices from across the world. Every spring, female antelopes migrate hundreds of miles to Zhuonai Lake to give birth, as we build gentle passages for their journey.
Hello, little Tibetan antelope. Eyes opening to the light for the very first time.
To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower.
So much wonder calls for so much courage. But have no fear. The way home is right there, waiting for you.
From the snows of Kunlun to the winds of Tangula, the wilderness will teach me to be strong.
But the call of life itself never ceases.
A train runs toward the horizon. A road stretches through the wilderness.
The bridge that soars through the clouds is no barrier across the land, but a gateway to where I truly belong.
Tibetan antelope's hoofprints loosen the soil, letting snow melt sink into the earth.
Human presence passes through,
but we've never walked this land alone.